In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we are going to be talking about another big step for our friend Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. We're going to be talking Chicago baseball and more. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. Sure, the season's not going on right now, but that shouldn't stop you from heading on over to icehogs.com. Get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, sign up for season tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing very well, and yourself?
Hey, I watched that Bears game Saturday, so I'm feeling some good vibes.
Well, I was in the south end zone, and it was pretty great.
Nice.
I
Um,
decided at 9 o'clock. So here's how it went down. I woke up at 9:30 that morning, and I just said, I don't have anything planned today. What the hell? I'm gonna look at SeatGeek and see what tickets look like. And I found a seat for $57. There's another 25 in fees, but I found that in the south end zone, like the middle of the south end zone, like in the middle, not all the way up in the nosebleeds. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take this one ticket and go. And boy, oh boy, did I make the right choice.
nice. So let's just jump into this game, and then we'll talk about Hard Knocks. Um, Give me your impressions of this game. I know there was started a little slow, and then ended up being a rout, but give me your impressions here.
So, what I think we saw in this game is a potential, and I quote this in big quotes, potential, emphasis on potential, microcosm of what this season could be. Because you saw a team come out slow, just not doing much on offense, three and out, three and out. But then they found a rhythm. Things started happening. And then the big plays came. And that's when the excitement happened. I think that what we saw in this game was a cautious unleashing potential of what could be. Because I think there are a number of factors on why the game did start a bit slow. And you can still see the rookie moments for guys like Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze, too. I mean, it's not just Caleb Williams that's the notable rookie out there. But then you see what happens when they show you what they can do. And, I've been burned by this team so many times, and there's still that tiny part that has that pit in my stomach that we're just getting ourselves worked up again. But boy, if they didn't show you some promise on the field, sit down and watch the game. Don't even look at the stats. Sit and watch the game. The impression I got was it's a team that's ready to show you what they have, and they're going to play hard until the end because, like week one, even the backups, they played hard until the very end. And I think it was worth watching the second half of the game with some of the depth you have on the team, aside from just the starters and some of the first men up when the starters go out. I really hope it's a tone setter. And I know preseason is preseason, but man, you just some of the stuff you saw, you really got to like.
You know, my overall impressions, I agree with you. There are glimpses of once you sort of find the rhythm, and uh, that this could be a really good offense, but there's going to be a lot of learning curve and growing pains. but boy, did you see the glimpses of it. And it's different than the glimpses we saw with Justin Fields. With Justin Fields, it was the athleticism.
Yes.
And even up until the very last minute he was a Chicago Bear, I don't think anybody ever doubted the athleticism
Goodness, no.
and what he could do with his legs. It was, could he do it with his arms? And, with Caleb Williams, we saw a little glimpse of what he could do with his legs, but it doesn't look the same as what Justin Fields did with his legs. But it's looking effective nonetheless. It's like it's in the same vein as Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Like neither guy is gonna, is Michael Vick with their legs, but they're well above average athletically and with foot speed, and they have an understanding of when there's a lane to run based on what the defense is going to look like or when the defense breaks down, and they take full advantage of it and they break your back with those runs. How many times have we seen Aaron Rodgers where there's been decent pressure, the wide receivers are locked down, there's good coverage, and a contain is broken, and he just runs for the first down, and it's so deflating.
Being mobile doesn't just mean rushing for yards going forward, going, vertically. I mean, yeah, Justin Fields did it. He rushed for 1,000 yards in 2022. Michael Vick was obviously exceptional, probably the best to ever do it. Lamar Jackson is really good at doing it, but like you said, it's more selective and it's used in the passing game. Because when you saw him get into the red zone, you saw him go north to south and then eventually run the end zone the second time, but he had his eyes downfield the entire time. And when you do that, you're able to, create things in front of you. And I'm not saying running in front of you, but guys can get open, they can move around. I mean, you should have had a touchdown to Roma Dunze on a play where he was going to his right and he was basically leaning out of the end zone on the run, flicking that ball. It was a perfect pass to Odunze. He kind of lost where he was. And keep in mind that Soldier Field was pretty much put together, but they didn't have, how there's like that border at the end of the end zone and it's filled in completely with white.
Yep. I was about to say that I saw pictures of what it looks like during the season and what it looked like. And I had to, from the photo, I was like, I can't tell which one is the end line. I had to look for the pylons. And so
right.
I'm not gonna crap on Roma Dunze for that because it's gonna be a whole lot different in season when it's very clear where that end line is.
But you get what I'm saying though, like that should have been a touchdown. And if that was the play that scored the touchdown, you would probably be seeing that more than the touchdown run. And we've seen plenty of that touchdown run on replay.
Oh, absolutely. And and that was it to Byron Scott, that long pass that the guy the defensive back basically grabbed him to prevent the touchdown. Like that would have been either a touchdown or a really close had the defender not just grabbed him by the back of the jersey and yanked.
That play is not talked about enough because that throw to Tyler Scott was a dime. It was an absolute dime. And, again, I was sitting in that south end zone. So every big Caleb Williams play was coming in my direction. So the pass to Roma Dunze, the pass to Scott that was called pass interference, and then the touchdown throw that was wiped out because he was out of bounds, and then the touchdown run. But that throw to Scott was absolutely on the money. And you knew that flag was coming in right when the defender put his arms on him. I mean, it was clearly going to be called. You knew it was coming. And if that wasn't interfered with, I do think that would have been a touchdown, or at the very least, it would have set you up at first and goal. I mean, that was an absolute dime of a throw downfield. And it looked at for the amazing thing with Caleb Williams, if you're just looking at raw ability, is how effortlessly the ball just kind of flies off his hand. And, you know, there is work to do in every aspect, but even the footwork, it's impressive. And I don't even think it's fully there yet or developed yet. But you see what the footwork can do. It's impressive what he can do, just the raw abilities in those two spots, being able to throw the ball downfield and being able to use his feet to maneuver around. And like I said, mobile quarterbacks aren't just the Lamar Jacksons and the Justin Fields. You could be so comfortable and nimble in the pocket where you might not get rushing yards, but you make plays happen because you can move.
Right. And, while we're talking, before we dive into offense, defense, etc., I wanna expand a little bit on my overall thoughts, and I'm gonna take my meatball hat off for a minute. And it takes a lot for me to take this meatball hat off.
It's stuck to your head. The cheese strings on the meatball have got you by your neck and your chin.
When I take it off, you just see the cheese strands. Uh, I am very concerned about that offensive line.
I am too. And
The
yeah,
Bengals, for the most part, did not play their starters, and the Bengals defensive line was able to get good pressure on Caleb Williams against the starting offensive line for the Bears. And that was very concerning.
I agree. And they stuffed the run. The Bears couldn't get anything going on the ground up the middle.
Yeah, and I'm also a little concerned about the defensive line. They didn't get a they had to bring in blitzes from the corners to get the pressure against with the starting defensive line for the Bears against the backup offensive linemen for the Bengals. And and then when you hear that Ryan Poles was a finalist for trading for Matthew Judon, you're like, okay, well, he sees this too. So
Yes.
I
Yes, he
I
does.
do have concerns. I think this team has the potential to be in the playoff hunt, but they they're not without chinks in their armor.
No, I agree. I agree. I think that the trenches were far and away the weakest looking thing we saw because in terms of the defense, I mean, you saw the secondary look pretty good. I mean, they tackled, you got a few interceptions. And I'm not worried about that. But, one thing to keep in mind is we didn't see Montez Sweat.
Fair.
We didn't see him. He's a difference maker. But you know what? Montez Sweat can't be your one guy. I mean, there's going to be the teams that are going to scheme him quite well. I mean, every team is going to try to scheme him, but some teams are going to be better than others than scheming him just because of the personnel that you have. But I mean, when you talk about the trenches on the offensive side, is, you saw early on, obviously struggles in the passing game, but like I said, like you had a nice end around and you had some stuff on the edges, but when you tried to go up the middle, I mean, you were going nowhere. You really weren't going anywhere in the ground games. So, I hear you. I 100% agree.
Um, yeah, so I do have concerns. And I'm not saying it was, Justin Fields' first game against the Browns bad, but I would love to see Caleb Williams be able to have, you know, 2.5 seconds in the pocket without having to not only step up but step over for in the pocket is just give him a little bit of time.
Right.
And
And I mean, yes, he's got the physical tools to be able to, maneuver around some pressure, but you don't want that happening every single snap.
right. Um, let's see. Look at my notes. On offense, um, you started with a long field, and that first drive was not very good.
No, no, it was
Um,
not.
that first pass that Caleb Williams threw to Keenan Allen, um, was it catchable? Maybe,
Yeah,
but
I thought he had a shot at it.
like it hit off his the tips, but it was definitely an off throw.
Yes,
And
it
then
was.
um uh and then you had the rollout to his right, and then the incomplete pass backward, like across his body to Gerald Everett. That was too quick, um, and behind him. And then you had the throwaway that they ended up calling intentional grounding. It was That was a rough series, and you know, it, I'm okay with it because one, today in practice, the Bears worked noticeably on getting the timing down between Keenan Allen and Caleb Williams.
Well, and again, I'm going to say this at nauseum. This was kind of expected, right? Like Caleb Williams was not going to have the timing perfect with everybody right away. Him trying to get on target with Keenan Allen and get on the same page, that's going to take work. We know that.
Right? And, it's the first time he's ever played at Soldier Field, and it was raining, or it had rained. So you got a wet field, a wet ball, and you've got that adrenaline from being the first time in Soldier Field to get with the home crowd.
And as somebody who was at the game, let me put a few perspective notes on that. Number one, it downpoured about 15, 20 minutes before kickoff. I was sitting in the end zone. You could see the big dark clouds coming over, like the spaceship from Independence Day, and that big shadow came over the entire stadium. And then the heavens just opened up. So, me and 30 plus thousand people took brief cover inside the concourse. And, Ryan Poles was down at the field. He was looking at the turf. He knew what was going on down there. He knew that this grass was just planted this week because you had it was Metallica, right? They were playing at Soldier Field last week.
I think so, yeah.
So you just, when you sat in the stands and you look down, you're like, wow, that looks like grass that was just planted in front of a new front yard of a new house that was just built. I mean, like I said, not all the lines were filled in the end zone. And I mean, you saw it looked like a basketball court, basically, where like every strip of sod, it wasn't fully settled in yet. So it like you saw the lines. So when your general manager is out there checking out the field, doesn't that tell you something?
Oh, absolutely.
And let's be real for a second here. And again, I'm not excusing anything. The timing was a little off for Caleb Williams in the offense, and you knew there was some frustration there. But it was pretty vanilla, very, very vanilla early on. Like they didn't pass the sticks really.
No, and even that second drive, you came out and they had two runs, and then an underneath pass to that was short of the sticks. Um, it wasn't until the second quarter that they started to open things up a little bit, and that's when you saw that long or that pass to
To
Scott.
Scott. Yep.
And then you had the long pass to Roma Dunze. And then you had the touchdown pass in the end zone to Roma Dunze where he had a foot out of bounds. Um, and then which was a really good play. If if those lines are painted in like in the regular season, that's 100% a touchdown.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was kind of confusing even looking at it from my angle. Because I'm like, wait, the line. Oh, no, that's the line. So, again, a forgivable thing. And, ultimately it doesn't matter. But um, my whole point is people aren't going to look at that play. And I think you should. I
Yeah,
think that was a very important play.
yeah. I mean, the the pass to Scott, that just being so on that you forced, a lot of times in the last recent memory with the Bears, when they have a long pass like that, uh, you're the only way you're completing that is if somebody there's a broken coverage and somebody's wide open, or it ends up being a jump ball slash pass interference. It was such a perfect pass that if you don't give them that pass interference, it's going to be probably a touchdown. And that becomes a real weapon because in this, you know, during the season, the Bears are going to have explosive plays to to be able to be an above average offense. And and you know, a pass interference of that nature, I'm counting that as an explosive play. Even
Oh,
if it's
absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
you're moving the ball there. And uh, I don't I mean, I guess with DeAndre Swift's speed, I think you have the ability to probably pop one um, greater than 20 yards in a run. Uh, Velus Jones gives you the opportunity to break a big run on a kickoff. Um, and
If he makes the team.
I would be shocked if he doesn't.
You're
Uh,
probably right. You're probably right. I know they're trying more reps at him at running back, and I mean again, if you're gonna make him a running back, then he's gonna have to go on the edge more because, he's not built to pound it up the middle. And I know he's got some speed. It just is I don't know. I don't know. You
I mean,
you know my thoughts on Valus Jones.
yeah, I mean, this is his last opportunity, but I think he's safe on this team, and the fact that they gave Travis Homer more attempts at running earlier on in this game uh, made me feel like hey, Travis Homer's the one that's on the block, the cut block, because they want to see if he can actually run, or is he just a special team gunner? Um, but I I I think Velus Jones makes this team, and uh, I think do they put him? Do they give him a spot at running back or wide receiver? Like where do they count that towards their 53 man? I don't know. Um, but
Because I
I'm
mean, you're assuming that your top three running backs are Swift, Roshan Johnson, Khalil Herbert,
yeah.
and I mean, again, Travis Homer, we'll see. I know Ian Wheeler has been a topic of conversation. I think he's probably more likely a practice squad guy to start at least. But you
I
know,
think so just because um he hasn't been able to be on the field enough to show what he can do. I think they do like him. I think he's a shoe in, if he clears waivers to be on the practice squad. But I have a feeling that Velus Jones is going to be running back 4 and
Eh,
allow them to carry 6 other wide receivers.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know. I don't know. Every time I think he's gonna like break out and do something, he makes a nice play, and then there's just an equally bad play after it, and I don't know. It's like you're trying to make your own Cordell Patterson, and he's clearly not Cordell Patterson in terms of abilities.
I mean, I agree with you there. Um, I think what even makes him get hammered home more that Velus Jones is going to make this team is DeAndre Carter has really faded in the favor of the coaching staff, um, and Colin Johnson has been hurt. Uh, you saw more. And you're not gonna have Freddie Swain or John Jackson over Velus Jones. So it's coming down to, I mean, they seem to like Dante Pettis. So
And he got a number of targets when Tyson Bagent came in the second half. He had a touchdown. I mean, he was targeted multiple times.
we know our top 3 wide receivers. Um, Tyler Scott, it'll be 4. So you'll probably, even if you don't keep Velus Jones as in the running back group, um, he's probably your wide receiver 5, and then Pettis your 6, leaving Simba Webster and Colin Johnson on the outside looking in.
Yeah,
And
I mean that sounds about right.
um, and I think Colin Johnson's not doing himself any favors because he had a great game uh last week, but then didn't play this week.
Right.
You've got to he showed some good things at the end of last season. He's got to continue that. I mean, he's a guy with good size and good hands, but you've got to be available.
Right.
Um, and in the second half, man, if Tyson Bagent didn't establish himself as the primary backup to Caleb Williams, then I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, he did well. He had a nice game.
He looked good, and the Bears seem to love him. And I I don't see a way he's not QB2.
And then QB3's Brett Rippon.
Probably just because of the experience.
Right.
I like Austin Reed. Um, I
You mean
think
Hard Knock star Austin Reed?
I like Austin Reed. I liked him when they signed him as a undrafted rookie. Um, and I wonder if the Bears are going to try to sneak him under the radar onto the practice squad. But it's really hard to have 3 quarterbacks where there's 2 rookies and a second year player.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, don't you need some sort of experience on there? I mean, considering that you have Tyson Bagent only in his second year, and he's only made like what, 4 NFL
Four-star.
starts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I as much as I like Austin Reed and um I think they're going to put him on the practice squad.
Sounds like Sean wants a little more QB controversy. Oh, you're Caleb Williams, but Austin Reed. Ooh.
I'm not. I do. It's like how I viewed Tyson Bagent last year. He wasn't a threat to start, but when you identify in the draft or in the you're scouting a uh, a quarterback that makes your roster and is capable of making multiple starts for you that you don't even waste a draft pick on, that you get as an undrafted rookie, that's that's impressive. You
Oh,
know,
it's very
when
impressive.
you look at the salary of backup quarterbacks in this league, and if you're able to find quarterbacks to be backups that you're paying league minimum to, that
It's
especially when you're
huge.
quarterback on a rookie deal, that's huge. So yeah, I'm all for that, but I don't think it makes sense to make him QB3. I think you have to have Brett Rippon to be three, and you not on your 53. I think you only carry two on your 53, but you make him that emergency quarterback, put him on your practice squad. Nobody's going to steal him from you, and he gets to be in all your meetings and be that veteran voice, but not take reps away. And I think that's the way it's going to go, and I think it's the way it should go and the way it will go.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. It would definitely make sense because the way I see it is when you have a QB core, like I said, that like you said, as young as it is, you got even if Brett Rippon isn't some big name that you have in there, just having an experienced guy in there that you can trust to know a system, that matters in a room. That definitely does matter. I don't think that, at least I hope not, that it's going to ultimately make the biggest difference, obviously on the field, but on the sidelines, in the meetings, just as a team, it does matter. So that would be my ultimate guess. And I think that's what it's going to be. I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah, and even though Brett Rippon is a quote unquote veteran, guy's only just turned 28 years old last month. Like he's not old by any stretch.
No,
Uh,
it's not like you have Chase Daniel or something, but it is a guy that's been around.
yeah, I think this is his sixth year, I believe. So he's been in the league and he knows he's been in this system. So I think it's important to have a guy like that because, if God forbid Caleb Williams gets injured and misses some time, you know, don't be surprised if they don't consider going to Brett Rippon as the backup, even if he's their third string on the practice squad. Uh, when they promote him up, they might just start him just because of his experience. That we'll see how that goes. But Tyson Bagent will be QB2 when the final roster comes out.
The other thing that's very interesting about Tyson Bagent too is if you remember at this time last year, we were just starting to get to notice him. It was assumed that PJ Walker was going to be QB2 because he was a veteran and he was the experienced guy. It kind of goes against what we've been saying, but if you remember, PJ Walker looked brutal with the Bears in preseason.
He looked so brutal.
Yeah, like that's how bad it was. But you've seen some better things from Brett Rippon. So, if you're seeing a good enough, serviceable veteran, you're like, okay, it makes sense to have the guy with experience in this room, then you go with it. Looking at the PJ Walker, Tyson Bagent thing last year, I mean, that really was a case of this guy just really struggled to the point of I don't care if he's a veteran or knows the system. It's just it looks bad, really, really bad. And we can at least say you can get some value from this kid who might not be experienced, but he's been pretty good. But this year, you're looking at okay, Brett Rippons looked pretty good in preseason in camp. Veteran guy makes sense. Go with that. So that'll be my ultimate guess.
Um, on the defensive side, there's a player that I want to mention that is he has been playing really well. I like him a lot. I liked him before the Bears got him as a rookie, as an undrafted rookie. He was somebody that I liked as a sleeper pick, and he's played really well, but is getting caught in a numbers game. Is cornerback Reddy Stewart. this Bears defensive or cornerback room is so deep that a Reddy Stewart didn't do anything wrong and is getting buried on the depth chart because every cornerback is playing so well.
Yeah.
It's insane how deep this is. And what's wild is I get annoyed a lot of times with national media write-ups of Bears. And there was one on Bleacher Report where it was the biggest weaknesses on the team, and they had it for every team. And it wasn't like a local writer did it for each team. They had one guy do it for all of the AFC teams and one guy do it for the NFC teams. And it annoyed me. So like the most of them, I agree. Like number one was center. Uh,
Yes.
I'm there with you. Then was second edge rusher. I'm there with you. Interior pass rush. I'm a little on the edge. I think Jervon Dexter is going to be pretty good.
I do too, but like I don't think it's egregious to say that.
No, then it's left tackle, and I I'm not against that. Um, but then they've listed cornerback.
What?
You have Jalen Johnson is probably a top five cornerback in the NFL.
As
If
he
not,
says fuck him to leaving him off the top list.
and Kyler Gordon is a top five slot cornerback. So already you've got two really good guys. And then after that, you have Tyreek Stevenson, who in the second half of last season looked really darn good. Terrell Smith has looked good. Jalen Jones, Stroman. Like you have so many cornerbacks that you are confident can come in there and play well. Like what the hell what else do you need? They might have the best group of cornerbacks in the NFL. And you're listing cornerback as one of their needs?
Yeah, I mean, I've said before that cornerback was one of the positions I felt best about on the Bears.
Yeah, it is they've got guys that are very good and they've got depth. You look at wide receiver and they've got three absolute alphas at the top, and then it drops off significantly after that. So the depth isn't there. But the cornerback room, the depth is there and the quality. You've got both.
Yeah, I mean, it would have even made more sense to say safety because, yeah, I think Jaquan Brisker is very good, but I don't think you have the depth at safety that you do at cornerback.
Yeah, the safety. I mean, I look at the safety room and I like I like our starters. I really do. And Brisker and Byard. Uh, I don't know what we're getting with Jonathan Owens yet. And Elijah Hicks, I've said it before, watching his tape at Cal from college, I really liked him. I really liked him. And I he hasn't shown me a lot in the pros yet, but so far this preseason, he's looked pretty good. The pro football focus grade has been pretty good, and the eyeball test has been pretty good. So I think it might have just been a hey, getting to know the league kind of thing. But I I don't love I mean, I would be nervous for him to start for long periods of time. If somebody was out. Um, but I do like the talent. And Jonathan Owens, I just don't. He's a wild card to me. I don't know what we're going to get with him. So I agree with you. If we could add another safety, I wouldn't be upset by that.
Right. And, I'm not here saying that our depth is bad or it's not, you don't have potential to have solid safety play beyond Jaquan Brisker, but I just think that compared to the cornerback depth to me clearly looks better.
The cornerback depth is just insane. Like, I mean, your starters are Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon. But after that, Greg Stroman, Terrell Smith, Jalen Jones. That's six good cornerbacks that have started and played well. Then you've got Josh Blackwell and Reddy Stewart. Like that's that's eight cornerbacks that I'm confident in. Eight.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Um, and a guy that I don't know how the coaching staff feels about him, but I kind of like him is Daniel Hardy.
Hmm.
And I've seen some good stuff out of him. And I just don't know if he's going to get caught in the numbers game. Um, because, uh, I think he's played well, but uh, he's the the problem with the Bears and the edge rushers is they have one really good guy, a guy that they spent a good draft pick on, and then they've got just a bunch of guys. And so are you going to end up just keeping more edge rushers on your roster just because you don't have dudes? You're going to have like quantity over quality. That's my concern
Hmm.
because you look at that the roster or the depth there, and you've got Montez Sweat, who's a dude, and then Demarcus Walker. I don't know what he's going to give us. I didn't love what he gave us last year, but he claims he was injured, and we'll see somebody different. I don't know. Um, Dominique Robinson, we keep we keep waiting for that potential. You talk about Velus Jones, you know, as a guy that doesn't give it what we want. Dominique Robinson is a guy that you're like just waiting for. Uh, and he's just is he gonna make that turn and become a dude? Jacob Martin, just a guy. Daniel Hardy, fully in the mix with all these. Austin Booker, he's a lock just because of you just drafted him. And Khalid Kareem, he's another dude. So you've got what, seven dudes and only one is a stud. I just and and from the reports I'm reading is the Bears have been in contact with Yannick Ngakoue.
Hmm.
So, there's a possibility that they bring him in.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody else really seems interested in bringing him in, so
You know,
you're probably, if you do get him, you're probably not spending much.
no, I mean, they'll probably pay him $4 or $5 million ish. Um, but he's a dude too. Like he didn't do anything special last year. So it's are you going to keep a bunch of guys hoping somebody turns a corner? That's my concern.
Right. No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Um, as far as the interior on the defensive line, I like Jervon Dexter. I like Andrew Billings. But then after him, who's going to be the ones that step up?
Hmm.
Byron Cowart has looked okay. Zach Pickens has been there. I'm hoping beyond hope Keith Randolph steps up because I would love to see him make this roster. But you got to step up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah. So and Dante Pettis, he was a dead man walking. I think we were writing his obituary as far as being on the Bears, and then he comes out this game and he plays really well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he did. I mean, he's an interesting one because all things considering, 2022, the tank year, you didn't have much. You weren't really winning, that's for sure. But considering who Dante Pettis is, he played pretty well that season. All things considering, I put it all in the context. He played pretty well. He's familiar with the Bears. I think there's a reason they brought him back. So uh, I think that him potentially making the roster isn't the worst thing in the world because I think he can at least be a decent depth piece at most.
I mean, he's a special teamer, and if he makes plays, uh, if he makes plays as a uh in the field, that's just bonus. Um, but I think the coaching staff likes him.
I do too. Was Let me see. Wasn't he the leading receiver on that 2022 team? I'm going to look that up. I mean, I know like I said, the bar is very low there. You were tanking, you weren't very good, but I felt like he was. Okay, I'm pulling it up now. So, receiving yards. Okay, I was way off on that. It was Cole Kmet. He was the leader. I should have said wide receiver leading in yards, but Darnell Mooney was number one, and he missed a number of games, but he was still number one, which isn't terribly surprising. Dante Pettis among wide receivers was third because Equanimous St. Brown was second. Dave Montgomery, running back, was fourth overall. Cole Kmet was first. So yeah, okay, I was off on that, but
Do
he
you
was one of your more productive wide receivers considering what you
do
had.
you do you remember the 2017 Bears wide receiver core?
I try to forget it, but I remember when they brought in Inman and he was considered our best guy.
Man, I'm re-looking at it right now, and I forgot how bad that wide receiver core was, and night and day difference. So our wide receiver core was uh Kendall Wright, Kevin White, Marcus Wheaton, Deontay Thompson, Trey McBride, Dontrell Inman, Tanner Gentry, Daniel Brown, and Josh Bellamy.
You know what's so funny is I remember all those guys, but like I remember them now that you reminded me. Kendall Wright was their leader in receiving yards. Not
It
not just wide receiver, the entire team.
like how did you put together a wide receiver roster that bad?
Hey, that was Ryan Pace. Ryan Pace who just got promoted down in Atlanta. Did you see that?
He
With
got
all the
promoted.
collaboration.
Oh, Ryan Pace. Guy was a bum. Bum.
My my goodness. Holy crap. Am I reading this right? Hold on. Let me rearrange this. Holy shit. Holy shit. Did
Ryan
you know that that wide receiver core in 2017, not a single person had multiple touchdown catches?
Oh yeah. It was so bad.
Good. Okay. Kendall Wright had one. Josh Bellamy had one. Dontrell Inman had one. I mean, he came in late. Trey McBride had zero. Daniel Brown had zero. Dante Thompson had one. Marcus Wheaton had zero. Tanner Gentry had zero. And good old Kevin White. Kevin White. He had 2 catches on 4 attempts for 6 yards the entire year. That was Ryan Pace's first draft pick ever.
And he is now, I looked at it, he is the VP of football operations for the Atlanta Falcons.
Uh-huh. Like I said, he was promoted today.
How do you and I just want to say is the Bears offered the New England Patriots a third round pick for Matthew Judon. And they got a third round pick offer from Atlanta and a third round pick offer from the Bears. And they let Matthew Judon decide where he wanted to go. And he chose Atlanta. He chose a place that promoted Ryan Pace to VP of football operations. He chose a team that went out and gave $100+ million guaranteed to a 38-year-old quarterback, and then promptly spent the number 8 overall pick on a quarterback, and an old quarterback. Like, what the hell is anybody thinking?
Maybe they just liked Ryan Pace's collaboration.
He collaborated the shit out of it.
Yeah, don't worry. We collaborated. It's all good.
Kevin White in 2017 had 2 catches. He had 2 catches.
Yeah, 2 catches. 2 catches. Yeah, Josh Bellamy. Wasn't Josh Bellamy recently charged with a crime?
Maybe.
Thought I saw that somewhere.
This is wild. All right. Take out Kendall Wright's 614 yards. The wide receivers yardage for an entire season. Josh Bellamy, 376. Inman, 334. McBride, 144. Thompson, 125. Wheaton, 51. Gentry, 35. And Kevin White, 6. Like, you're going to have 3 dudes that are almost double the top wide receiver of 2017.
By the way, back in 2020, wide receiver Josh Bellamy was arrested this morning and charged with wire fraud, bank fraud, and more for his illegal role in a scheme to file fraudulent loan applications seeking more than $24 million in PPP loans. Ooh. 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 Boy. Man, that John Fox, man.
Him and his monkey.
I had a monkey, and I had it for a while. It liked to eat peanuts, and then it died of heat stroke. That was the last memories I had of John Fox.
John Fox.
Me and my monkey.
He just dropped the nugget that he had a monkey.
I'm out of here anyway. I'm gonna retire. Might as well talk about my monkey. I think my monkey would probably be the number 1 receiver on my team. He'd probably be right. A damn monkey. Oh, man. Let's, just for the fuck of it, let's just have a little fun here. Because I think 2016 was pretty bad as well. Because if you remember, Alshon Jeffrey was suspended for a few games, but he still played 12. Okay, it's still not good, but it's nowhere near as bad as 2017. Do you remember who the receiving yards leader was on the 2016 Bears? It wasn't Alshon Jeffrey, I'll tell you that.
Receiving yards.
This person had 888. Again, this core, not good.
Was it Cam Meredith?
It was. It was Cam Meredith. And hey, credit to him, he had 4 touchdowns. And Zach Miller had 4 touchdowns. And, to be fair to 2017, Zach Miller probably would have been the leader in touchdown receptions and quite possibly receiving yards had he not almost died in that Saints game.
Oh my God. I almost threw up when I watched that.
So did I.
And
So did I.
I was at Gary's house watching that game, and he went upstairs to do something for his kid. And he came down. He's like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Don't watch this replay." And he watched the replay, and we were both like gagging. It was so bad.
Yeah, that was scary.
Eddie Royal on that team was probably up there in yards, right? I mean, not good, but
369.
that was probably what, third or fourth.
It was fourth.
And I'm God. Josh Bellamy was on that team.
He
DeAndre
was. He was
Thompson.
sixth.
I'm gonna say, uh, I'm gonna go with um, Jordan Howard is the third
Correct.
or the next wide receiver or
The
the next.
fifth. Yes. 298. And you remember, Jordan Howard wasn't the best in pass catching.
No,
Deontay Thompson, solid special teams player.
did Kevin White break 250 yards that season?
187.
Uh,
Kadeem Carey, Daniel Brown, Jeremy Langford, Marquise Wilson. Oh man, here was a name I brought up the other day for funsies, and oh yeah, wow, he was on the Bears longer than I remember though. But remember Ben Broniker?
I was gonna say, are you gonna say Ben Broniker?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Rookie 2016,
and
41 passing yards catching.
Mike Hole Pruitt was on that team, right? He probably had like
Uh,
30 yards receiving that year.
6.
I said 30 for the season, and I was
6.
5 times too high.
He had 6. Uh, uh, Brayon Addison. I do not remember him.
Who?
Brayon Addison? I do not remember him.
I don't remember him at all.
Logan Paulson, yeah, that name rings a
Uh,
bell. I remember Kadeem Carey. I remember Daniel Brown.
yeah,
I
Kadeem
remember
Carey.
Jeremy Langford because I actually, my delusional ass in like 2015 thought Jeremy Langford was the future running back of the Bears.
Because he was really good at Michigan State.
And he was good. I mean, his rookie year, he showed some legitimate flashes. And then he just kind of faded away. Let's see. Daniel Braverman. I remember that name. Joik Bell. I remember Joik Bell. Chris Prazinski. I don't remember him. Oh my goodness. When was the last time? Did they have any 1,000 receiver? Let's see. No, in 2015, their leader was Alshon with 807, but he only played in 9 games. So if he would have played all 16, he would have definitely had 1,000 plus. And Marquise Wilson was second, Martellus Bennett, Zach Miller, Matt Forte. So I think you have to go back to obviously Allen Robinson had a few 1,000 plus yards. I'm just saying in that mid 2000s era, the pre Matt Nagy, post Lovie Smith. So when you're looking over the Tressman and the Fox era, boy, after that first year of Tressman, it's pretty bad. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey, okay, he had over 1,000 in 2014. And then 2013, I would assume Alshon and Marshall both had 1,000 yards. Yes, they did. But boy, that stretch from like 15 to 17, brutal.
Uh, but we're getting to the end of training camp, and there is one preseason game left against Kansas City, and then we'll have final cutdowns, and this season is gonna be ready to start.
Yeah.
I
Already.
Yep.
So what
Um,
do you expect from this last preseason game in Kansas City?
I don't think any of the Chiefs. I don't know.
I don't think Mahomes is playing, right? Like he's not.
I don't know. I mean, it's. Uh, I'm gonna Google this. What is if Andy Reid plays his starters in the final preseason game?
I mean, it's if you're Pat Mah I mean, I don't see him playing. I don't know if there's been an official announcement or not, but I mean, not that it really matters that much, but I mean, I don't really expect much of consequence to take place in this game either way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't care if I don't care what the Chiefs do. I hope the Bears play their starters at least a quarter, if not a half.
That would be
Uh,
nice.
I think. I mean, I'm fine if they put the defense out there for just a quarter.
Sure.
I'm even fine if they don't play the starters on defense. I think on defense, the continuity is there because for the most part, you have the same team. I mean,
Yes.
like really Kevin Byard, who's a veteran in this league, is the only new piece on that in that defense from the end of last season. So like I'm fine if you don't play the defensive starters. I think that offense needs the work. I think the
Oh yeah, I
offensive
mean, it's
line,
for
the
sure.
offensive line needs the snaps, especially now that uh, Nate Davis is back practicing. I think you need to get those snaps and those reps. I think Justin Fields, Caleb Williams could use those reps. I think the offense should be out there, and I don't care what they do on the defense. If they want to preserve guys or whatever, um, I just I think you need it, even from the timing perspective with your wide receivers and your quarterback and getting those reps with the offensive line. Um, and I just think that's important. And I hope they bare minimum play a quarter, preferably a half.
Yeah, I mean, I was delightfully surprised that they gave Caleb Williams an entire half this past Saturday. Cause I'm like, oh, guys, he's just gonna get a few drives and then he's gonna come out. And they gave him that first half, and Ryan Poles was very happy with that too. So that was nice. But yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I mean,
I just like I said, I mean, with Pat Mahomes, he doesn't need to. He really doesn't need to play, and
yeah, I don't know if he'll play. If the Chiefs are going to go with their offensive starters, then fine, throw your defensive starters out there just just to get a taste of regular season a little bit. But I don't think the defensive starters need to be in there. I want to see the younger players get the opportunity because um like I said, I love the depth on cornerback, but which you're not going to keep 8 cornerbacks. So figuring out who those last 2 are going to make it, because you probably keep 6. Figuring out who those last 2 are going to be, I would love to see them get extended playing time to uh, to try to separate themselves. But offense, yeah, give those dudes a half. Even if the Chiefs aren't playing their starting defense, give them a half and try to build that the timing, build the you know the synergy of the offensive line gel. Um, they need those reps, and plus you have a new offensive coordinator. Give him the play calling with your starters. I just want to see that. Hope uh, they don't chicken out on that.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. We'll see.
Did you watch episode 2 of Hard Knocks?
Yes, I did.
Did you were you able to watch or did you have to wait hours like every like some people?
Well, I waited. We used to have HBO here, and that changed, so I was waiting. But it was kind of funny just seeing the memes and the reaction of people. I made a meme that a small percentage of people got and liked, but it wasn't something that I'm not sure that a lot of people would get. If anyone has seen the movie Fargo, you would get it, but if you haven't,
I love
you wouldn't.
Fargo.
So, did you see the meme I made?
I didn't.
Okay, so it's a spoof of the very opening scene, and you have the two criminals sitting at the table when Jerry Lundegaard comes in, and you have Grimshoot who's like passed out with a cigarette in his mouth, and the caption I made was them saying, "You said you were supposed to be here at 8 Central. What gives, man?" And then it's a shot of Jerry Lundegaard with the HBO Max logo over him. So the spoof of you were supposed to be here at 7:30. What gives, man? Well, Shep said 8:30.
Uh, I love that movie.
It's
I,
it's
I don't
so
I don't
good.
know. Just funny looking. March, you
I
gotta have a breakfast.
I saw a shirt and I think I need to get it. It's like a car like picture and it says Jerry Lundegaard's true coat.
Oh, you're a liar, Mr. Lundegaard.
A fucking liar.
Uh,
Whenever I have to make a big payment, sometimes I think, "Ah, just give me my checkbook. Let's get this damn thing over with."
in my house all the time, like if my kid doesn't want to have breakfast before school or before she goes somewhere, I'm like, you gotta have a breakfast, Margie. You got I'm gonna make you a breakfast. Uh,
Hey, you want to
it's my it's my tan Sierra, my tan Sierra.
hey, if you want to test Caleb Williams being comfortable, make him watch the scene. And you know what scene I'm talking about, right? To see if he doesn't cringe. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. I do. Oh,
My wife died. What? He lives with his parents.
oh, Fargo's so good. I might watch that tonight before bed.
You should. The Coen brothers have made a lot of really good movies, and I've always been a big fan of The Big Lebowski. It's one of the movies I always quote with my friends, but Fargo might be my favorite. And I think that there was no more fitting scene to compare to a Chicago sports team when you had Jerry Reinsdorf, going to the state of Illinois about the stadium. All I can think of was, "We're not a bank, Jerry."
Uh,
He's
what
saying, "Wait, what are you saying?" That might be my favorite scene in the whole movie.
what this guy look like anyway? Oh, he was a little guy, kind of funny looking. Uh-huh. In what way? Oh, just in a general kind of way. Uh,
The over exaggeration of the Minnesota accents is just, it's gold.
you're darn tootin'.
You know what else is a really good a good snippet to take when you're watching a preseason game and you have these practice squad guys coming in. I just want to post the clip of Steve Buscemi yelling, "Who the fuck are you?"
Here's your $4, you pathetic piece of shit. Oh, for Pete's sake, he's fleeing the interview. He's fleeing the interview.
You know what I use all the time now? For when a Cubs prospect is looking good. Have you seen this little meme I posted from Fargo? It's literally just it's a snapshot of Chef Proudfoot working on the car while he's talking to Jerry when he says, "Call him up." So when they're talking like, oh, hey, look, Moises Ballesteros just hit another home run, I'll just post, call him up. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
see, I did that, but I didn't get an answer. I was just wondering if you had an alternative number. Nope.
Shut the fuck up, or I'll throw you back in the trunk.
If you're listening and you haven't seen Fargo, watch
Let's
Fargo.
go
It's
watch
great.
Fargo. It is so good. It's it's it's. I mean, the Coen brothers have made so many good movies. Um, the remake of True Grit. Oh brother, where art thou? My favorite is No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's my favorite, but I would Fargo. Fargo is right up there. Um,
You know that whole thing at the beginning of like this is based on a true story, like that's complete bullcrap.
yeah. Um, they made Raising Arizona, Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, Hudsucker Proxy, Fargo, Big Lebowski, um, The Man Who Wasn't There, The Lady Killers, No Country for Old Men, Burn After Reading, True Grit, a sleeper one that I like a lot, Inside Llewyn Davis. And then they made that one for Netflix, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which was good. Uh,
I totally forgot that the True Grit remake was the Coen brothers. Completely
yeah,
forgot about that.
yeah, I love the original, but the remake was so good.
Yeah, because that was wasn't that Jeff Bridges?
Yeah,
And the original was John Wayne.
John Wayne was the original.
Right.
Um, but that movie's so good. Rooster Cockburn.
Sean is now starting a separate Coen brothers podcast.
I would totally start one. They're so good. My daughter auditioned for a Coen Brothers movie, a small part. Didn't get it. I'm like
Really?
probably good that she didn't get it because I would have just sat on set with a different Coen Brothers movie shirt every day, just nerding out.
Yeah, that would have been worth it for you and very annoying for him.
Oh my god, I would have been the most annoying. The movie had Chris Evans is going to be the star of it, and I would just alternate between talking about Captain America and talking about Coen Brothers past movies, and just quoting like No Country for Old Men and Fargo.
Who's this Bears meatball fan that keeps sticking around here?
Why won't he just go away?
Tell this man to leave. Both Coen brothers pick you up by each arm and just throw you out.
Uh, so, what were your thoughts on Hard Knocks episode 2?
So, I watched it and I like some of just the raw stuff of when they're, talking, whether they're on the sidelines or in camp, or, you see some of the highlights from the game. So, did I enjoy it? Yes. Do I understand some of the criticism of it? Yes, because let's just echo what everybody's been saying. This is a very PG rated version of Hard Knocks, and I don't think anybody is surprised knowing the team and who owns the team and just, what they're like. Right. I
There's
mean,
there is 0% chance the Bears don't have final edit on this.
right, right. I
There's
mean,
like
it's
you're seeing so little of practice. Uh, you're seeing the G-rated version of the language.
yes.
Uh, I mean, even DJ Moore when he made that play and he gets up and he doesn't swear, he's like, "I like football."
Yeah. Oh, when George heard that, he probably busted a nut.
He circled that. He circled that on his notes in his purple crayon. We're
Oh,
gonna
we
put.
got to keep that.
We got to keep that in there.
Uh, you know what I like to think is that the McCaskies said, "All right, if you swear, get in line because we're gonna have Virginia stick a bar of soap in your mouth."
She's washing people's mouths out with soap.
They get in line. There's just a big long line, and there she is just sitting there. She's got just like a giant tub of soap bars, and then someone walks up. All right, who's next?
And
What did
George just pops out from around the corner. He's like, that didn't go how you expected, did it?
Okay, Mr. Adunze, you said a bad word. Just shoves the bar in there.
She's got like a bar of lava soap with the grit.
Ugh.
Uh,
Ugh. This isn't Dove.
She's like, we don't go with Dove. We only have rough soap around here.
Rough soap for rough mouths for young whippersnappers like you.
This'll teach you to scrape up your tongue. But I mean, the show reinforced Roma Dunze is a good kid, man. He's a really good kid.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, uh, it's weird because normally, the best wide receivers are guys that are just loud. There's loud, crazy like Terrell Owens. Um, then they're loud, just obnoxious, like Steve Smith Sr. Um, or Chad Ocho Cinco. Uh, and but he's just soft spoken and just a good kid. And
Very articulate too.
every time he talks, you just, he's very thoughtful in what he says. And like, Caleb Williams is clearly a very polished public speaker and says things like he's clearly done media training. I don't think Roma Dunze seems like he's gone through media training. It just seems like that's just who he is.
Yeah,
And
he's a natural at it. And you remember too, he was part of the Giants offseason Hard Knocks. That was really the first time I listened to him talk. I'm like, wow, I like listening to this kid talk. He sounds great.
yeah, he's just like he's very like introspective when he thinks about what he's saying, and he's articulate and he's kind, and it's just an all-around good kid. And you know the I don't know if you saw like the clip from the off season when after he got drafted, he called his grandpa.
Yes.
Like you're like, oh my god, this is this is an A, it was very heartwarming, and B, it was the most call your grandpa moment ever. It's like, all right, well, I'm gonna get off the phone now. uh it's just like he is such a breath of fresh air. We've had Brandon Marshall here, who was a loudmouth, very talented, but a loudmouth. And we've got three just really nice, soft spoken wide receivers here that you feel good rooting for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you saw a little bit of Keenan Allen too. I mean, he's kind of portrayed like, hey, he's the old man with the big family and all these kids, and he's like the senior of the group. And then you saw DJ Moore. He's a young dad. He's right in the prime of his career, and you see the upcoming of a guy like Roma Dunze. So you kind of got all those perspectives. That was probably my favorite part of the episode was looking at those storylines.
Oh my god, I love DJ Moore's daughter.
Oh, I know. I know.
Uh but it's so makes it so much easier to root for these guys when you don't have like an Antonio Brown on your team
Right.
where
Right.
he's just off the deep end,
Just a lunatic.
like a mean lunatic. Uh
Yeah. It's a shame, man, because he is as talented as it gets, but he was his own worst enemy.
it's weird. Like that dude, you didn't hear hide nor hair of him for a long time, and then just he dipped his toe in the crazy and then was like, "Ooh, this water's good," and just dove in head first. And you didn't look back, and you're like, were the Steelers like coaching staff and front office, were they that good at keeping him in check, or was this like CTE rearing its ugly head? Like, I don't know,
I
but
don't know.
that guy just went off the deep end, and then everything after he left the Steelers just was bad
Yeah. Just
and
ugly
a
stuff.
train wreck. Like, there's guys that are loud, like Chad Ochocinco, loud, but like not a bad guy and not a distraction. Terrell Owens was a distraction, but he always, until he retired, he backed it up on the field, and
Yes.
and he was a competitor. Once he put that helmet on, competitor, you knew there was no quit in that guy. Antonio Brown quit. That dude quit.
Yeah.
Uh, for whatever it's worth, that dude
Remember when he took off his shirt and ran off the field?
took off his shoulder pads and his helmet and his shirt and just left. That dude quit. He pulled an Olin Kreutz. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Hard Knocks. It's been fun. I wish they would open up a little more and let some more of these personalities shine. But it's been enjoyable, and I like the fact that this is not a cringy. You don't cringe when you're watching these guys.
I want to see more Ryan Poles.
I do too.
I really want to see more Ryan Poles.
Did you watch all of the Giants Hard Knocks?
I just saw snippets of it.
That one's real cringy. That one's just cringy. I don't like it. Um, I was hoping this Bears one would be a lot more like the Lions one.
That was a popular one. A lot of people like the Lions Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I mean, just they really let Dan Campbell be the centerpiece, and then everybody sort of branched off of that. And Eberflus is just a different cat. Like,
Right.
he's a cornball, and like he has that same like mentality of Dan Campbell, but not like over aggressive with it.
Right.
He's like if you took that like same attitude and packaged it in a dad joke, that's Flus.
Yes, that's a good way of describing it.
Um, it was funny when we were leaving training camp this week. So or last week, my wife, daughter, and I went to training camp on Tuesday, and when we were leaving, you can't park at Hallis Hall. You park at a mall in Vernon Hills, and then they have a shuttle bus that drops you off. But when we were leaving, there was a car that was they stop you because you have to walk on the like a like a long driveway for Hallis Hall. And they roped it off and stopped you, and the car went by, and I was like, that lady looks familiar that's driving it. And I looked at the license plate, and it was something Flus. It was one of his kids.
I thought you were going to say it was Virginia McCaskey.
But
It's an old jalopy. Arrgh!
that would be amazing.
It would be.
No, I just even better is if she was driving the Munsters car, the Dragula. Oh, oh God. But training camp was cool. I got to see the that highlight touchdown to Roma Dunze in the corner.
Uh-huh.
That happened like right in front of us.
Yep.
And Gary Fenzik was there signing autographs. We got to take pictures. They had like the locker room set up there, and you could take a picture with like DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Montez Sweat, Caleb Williams jerseys. They had like a bunch of giveaways, and then afterwards, like a bunch of players were signing, like Steven Carlson was signing. Can't remember who else. There was a bunch of the guys that aren't going to make the team, but they came straight over from practice and walked over and started signing autographs for people. So it was a good time. It was nice.
Yeah,
My
sounds like fun.
um, I think my wife was very fond of Montez Sweat because he was on the cover of the program that they gave out, like the
Hmm.
with the roster. She goes, "Oh my, oh, he's a very handsome man." She's like, "This picture's a thirst trap." It's like,
Well,
calm down there, calm down there.
yeah, chill, chill. So tell me this: is it better, worse, same as Bourbonnais? How would you compare it to Bourbonnais?
At Bourbon A, when I went, like so this was definitely more set up for fans because they had like Dunkin' Donuts was there giving out free coffee samples of their flavored coffees. They had the kids zone. They had face painting for kids. Um, they had like uh like stuff for the kids to do in the Peyton Center. Um, and they were giving out prizes and stuff, uh, photo opportunities. So it was much more fan friendly. Um, but it was, as far as the practice goes, the way that Hallis Hall is set up, because there's four practice fields, but they were only on two of them, and there were two that were next to each other. So uh, they had bleachers. So Hallis Hall, the building, makes an L shape around the one corner of the practice field. So like when they signed DJ Moore to that extension, um, like that's the field that the offense was on, and then there's a field directly next to it, and then on the other corner there was like where the on the far corner was like the House Hall building made the L shape. Bleachers made the L shape on the other corner on the second field. So the defense and special teams were practicing there. So it was a little bit of a bummer that the offense was on a side that none of the fans could see. It was where the
Right.
media was, and you couldn't really see unless you had binoculars. So you were watching the defense just go through walkthrough drills and then the punter, but we got a really up close look uh, at the crocodile punter just dropping him at the 5, like
Hell
just
yeah.
consistency in the corner on the 5, boom, in the corner on the 5, boom. And it was wild watching him stand next to Cairo Santos. He's like a foot taller than that dude,
Hmm.
but it's so that was a little bit of a bummer, and it wasn't until like the towards the end of practice that the offense came over and ran uh, plays against the defense. Um,
I'm sure the players probably like it more than players liked it at Bourbonnais. That's
yeah,
probably
Bourbonnais, like,
safe to assume.
you had a better ability to go around to the field and see what you wanted to see. That's the only plus of Bourbonnais.
Right.
Um, and you could park right there and just walk over.
Yeah.
This like the place that they had you park, like it was easy because it was like a shopping mall plaza, so like there was plenty of parking. But then you had it, but it was like 4.5 miles from Hallis Hall,
Hmm.
and they put you on a bus, and
Four
then
and a half mile. That far?
yeah.
Wow.
Um, so I'm like, I have to look like next year. What will probably because then you had to wait in a line to get on the shuttle bus. I think next year, um, I might just Uber, like park somewhere in an Uber and get dropped off, uh, just to save time because we got there. I was like, I want to get there when they open because they practice was at like 9 and they open or 9:20 and they opened the gates at like 8:20 and we got there at a little a little before 8, maybe 8 like 8 maybe 8 on the dot. We got to the parking lot and we didn't get into Hallis Hall until like a little after 9. It took like over an hour to get organized, get sorted because they counted you out like however many seats are on the bus, and then you had to get checked in with a waiver and then on a bus and then drive over there, and there was like traffic and construction, and it took like an hour. It was quick on the way back. Like we were there in like 15 minutes because the buses people were kind of leaving in waves, but there was a bus just waiting for us when we got left. But on the way, and you were in the middle of the day rather than in rush hour.
Right.
But I might just take an Uber next time. But it was a good time. I liked it.
Good. Good. Yeah, because I've only been to Bourbonnais. I haven't been to the new Hellas Hall. So yeah, I kind of wasn't sure what the whole experience was. I mean, I've seen the pictures. I know kind of the layout of how it works, but just like I didn't know you had to park 4 miles away and take a shuttle. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was a bummer. And I get it because like there's not much parking at Hallis Hall, and all the
No.
other places on that road are like private businesses. So if they have everybody just parking,
And my
there.
dad's old office was right next to Hellas Hall, actually.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I used to do some consulting work for a company like just down the road, like what is that? What's the major like the exit street from 294?
Yeah, my dad worked at Abbott, so one of the buildings was right there.
Oh, okay, yeah. They were one of my so that I consulted for them too, so I know all the security people. So I'm like, I probably should swing over there and see if we could just park in their lot. But
Who did you consult with Abbott? Was how long ago was it?
2016.
Hmm. What side of the I mean, did you go to like the contracting side by any chance?
I was a consultant for like regulatory consulting. So I met with like all the people that were um, working on submitting drugs for FDA approval.
Okay.
So the newer building, the AbbVie building, I so if you got a pass to go in, it was good for the old Abbott building that was farther north, and I would go because um, I knew all the security people at that one, and the security people at the other one were mean. So I would go and schmooze and drop off donuts to this one, and then they would give me the badge, and then I would go, and then I would just go up to the other one and drive in with that badge.
The ones that were mean. You gave the nice ones donuts. You gave you gave the other one a knuckle sandwich.
uh,
They were mean.
uh, yeah. It was yeah. So that was my thing. So I knew all of um the security people there, and they would just let me in because I would drop off donuts and I would drop off punchkis on punchki day, um,
Oh, very nice.
and um, and then who was the shortstop that the White Sox traded? Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Paul DeYoung.
Paul DeYoung. So the one security guy, uh, he was Paul DeYoung's like he like little league coach or something. So he's like still kept in touch with him. So he was like when he was coming up in the minors, he had like a box of his cards, baseball cards, and he was just like, "Hey, did you get a Paul DeYoung card?" And I was like, I don't want a Paul DeYoung card." uh, all right, should we talk a little baseball here?
I guess.
So, last episode, I had like the tiniest of tiny glimmers of hope of possibly getting that last wild card spot for the Cubs. And that is squashed. That is done.
I mean the sweep in you had that sweep in Cleveland, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, really frustrating loss when they scored 8 runs, came back and immediately, gave it away. Then you didn't hit squat the next 2 days. I was at the game yesterday, that 1-0 loss, and God.
Yeah, it was frustrating day yesterday in Chicago baseball when you had both teams get shut out. It's bad. You know, the Cubs had an absolute gem from Imanaga, and you couldn't score a single run, not a single run against the guy with a mid-4s ERA.
He mowed him down. Mowed him down. They looked completely helpless
Yeah,
against him. Completely, utterly
yep,
helpless.
not a walk. Uh, what 7, 8, 9 strikeouts in 7, like just bad.
I
Just
mean, that pitching staff on Toronto reeks, and you looked. Oh my God, it was so frustrating to be there. It really was. It was a beautiful day. I was with my dad, and my brother. That was great, but goddamn, that game was frustrating.
Yeah, and mathematically, I guess you're still in it. It's just I
No.
they don't they there's nothing there. And what's what's even more frustrating is when free agency opens up at the after the World Series. Can you tell me one name that would really help this Cubs team out?
I mean, there were rumblings today that the Cubs could really be interested in Corbin Burns, and I have two thoughts.
Corbin Burns would be very nice.
It
There
would be.
there is one name that would really help the Cubs, and is Juan Soto.
Yeah, that's not happening.
And they're not going to do it. And Corbin Burns would be great, but he can't hit.
No, and I don't know. I just don't see it.
Like Juan Soto, like you need an anchor stud player. Like the Cubs don't have they have a bunch of Robins. They need that Batman. And Juan Soto is a Batman.
Right. And I mean, listen, you can look at this year and say, okay, say Suzuki's pretty good. He should be your third best hitter on a great team.
Mm-hmm.
You could say that about Cody Bellinger. You could
Mm-hmm.
say that about Ian Happ.
Mm-hmm.
Swanson's been very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Better lately overall, but still, as a whole, disappointing. I'm I'm a little conflicted about Nico Horner, I gotta tell you.
Mm-hmm.
He is a great defender,
Mm-hmm.
and he is good when he's hitting line drives. Here's the thing, though. He can offer you a good average line drives and contact. He doesn't walk, he doesn't slug. So when he's not hitting line drives, you're not really getting anything from him offensively. Defensively, sure, he's always going to be a top tier defender. And I'd hate to see that glove go, but if he's not hitting 280, 290, you're not getting power. You're not getting walks.
He's a rich man's David Bodie.
I mean, David Bodie, I think, has a little more pop in the bat.
I would like to see more of Nico Horner. And
If you're like, I don't care if you don't slug, hit line drives. It drives me crazy when he hits all these lazy fly balls. Like he's swinging, like, dude, hit line drive. I know it's a lot easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. But when he was good, when he came up with runners on the last few years, he would hit a line drive the other way. And now we're just seeing too many pulled or straightaway center fly balls that go 320 feet.
yeah,
Just that's
and,
not what he is.
and P. Crow Armstrong should guy get just PCA just get on base and use your speed. Get on base and use your speed.
And you know what? He's been doing a lot better lately. I'll give him that.
Um, like because whenever they would send him down to the minors, he'd go to being like the home run guy. PCA is not the home run guy, and maybe in AAA, but in the majors, he's not home run guy. Not saying he can't hit a home run, but yeah, you're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal.
No, he's not. He's not. I mean, I just look at this team and what I get is I'm like, listen, I like these guys individually, but you don't have the right mix here. And because of that, you're probably going to have to make some moves which they've already done. They've already traded away Morel, but you might not stop there. I mean, maybe you do find a way to trade Ian Happ. Maybe you do find a way when Cody Bellinger opts in to trade him. Maybe, I think it's less likely, but maybe you trade Seiya Suzuki. I feel like Suzuki's probably a future DH, but there's the rumblings that you're going to see Owen Casey in the final month. If he's good and you have him in right, maybe you say, okay, Suzuki, you're going to DH, and we'll have Owen Casey in right. If there's one reason to watch the team for the rest of the year, it's the potential September call-ups. Owen Casey being one of them. Sounds like that's a sure thing. Will we see Moises Ballesteros? Less likely Matt Shaw. I'm not saying 0% chance, but if Matt Shaw is going to be a guy, you're going to have to make some decisions on the infield. You just traded for Paredes.
Yeah,
Do
he's
you
there.
trade? Do you part ways with Nico Horner? Do you throw him in somewhere in a trade package?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either. And I like Nico Horner. I do. But if you say, you know what, we got to sacrifice a little bit of defense and a little bit of just contact for more run production and slug, you know what? This offense ain't consistent enough, and you need another bopper or two. Maybe if Matt Shaw is the real deal, maybe you switch things around because I can tell you for certain, Dansby Swanson's going to be your shortstop.
Yes.
That's true. I think Michael Busch has earned his way to be the first baseman.
I would agree.
Is Isaac Paredes going to be here? Despite trading for him in the years of control, is he going to stick around? I don't know. Is Nico Horner going to stick around? I don't know. If you're serious about Matt Shaw, you have to make a decision. These are just things to think about. And I know it's just the minors. I know. But have you seen Matt Shaw? Have you seen him play?
Yeah.
There's some impressive stuff in that bat. His first AAA homer was hit the other way, but it was vaporized. He can hit that ball. That swing when it's on, it's lightning quick.
I just you have Juan Soto as a free agent. He's a game changer. The guy, the guy's slash line is 300 batting average, 432 on base percentage, 601 slugging, OPS of 1.033, an OPS plus of 185 with a current 7.5 B war. Like, what the hell? Like, that guy's a game changer. 34 home runs, where we still have like 30 some games or 30 games left, and he's got 34 home runs. He's gonna have 40 home runs. Like, pay that man. Give him back the truck up. You were gonna pay Shohei Ohtani. Why wouldn't you back that up for Juan Soto?
Um, Sean, I would do disgusting things. Not really, but
Oh, I would. I would do disgusting things to have
Uh,
Juan Soto on the Cubs.
God, you have no idea. But I'm not even in that state of mind. It's just it's not going to happen.
Man, watch him go to Baltimore.
Nah, I don't think he's going. I mean, I really think the Yankees are going to keep him. They'll find a way. They'll maneuver some things. They'll. I think he's staying in New York.
I mean, Baltimore has like they got an $8 payroll. Like you could pay that man,
You
and they got new
could.
owners. Like
They
that
do
would
have a
be
new
awesome.
owner. That's true.
Watch the Dodgers sign him.
Well, we got bounced in the first round for like the 10 millionth time. We need to add more talent.
Oh my God. Can you imagine that lineup with Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts,
If
Freddie
you don't win a
Freeman?
World Series in 120 games, that's a failure.
I just, it's just, it, the fact that we've already, as Cubs fans, just going, yeah, we're not going to get him. Like, it's frustrating. The Cubs should just be backing up the Brinks truck to Juan Soto's house and being like, here's all of the monies.
Beep, beep, beep,
And
beep.
here's all of the monies, and we're taking you to the Wiener Circle.
Hell, I would take him to Michael Jordan's.
Wherever he wants to go.
Yeah. You want to go to Portillo's, Wiener Circle, Michael Jordan's, Wrigley Dogs. You want to have a beer at the Cubby Bear, wherever.
Yeah, you
Just
want
let us know.
yeah, you want to go to Pequod's, like we're taking you. Make that man fall in love with the food.
Just put a big old pizza and an Italian beef and a hot dog right in front of him, and he won't resist.
Oh my God. I can just imagine like Portillo signing him for to be a spokesman doing the Juan Soto shuffle.
No, that would be something.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, right now there are like 5 games out of the wild card, and it just feels like it should be 500.
Yeah.
Like it is, it just put a fork in them. It doesn't matter. There's not enough. There's they're way too far along in the season to to do anything.
And what, you want to make the third wild card and get killed by the Brewers?
Yeah, it's just silly.
I'm so over it. And we get to watch the Brewers dominate. Just we laughed at them when we took their manager and they traded away Corbin Burns. Well, guess what? They're one of the best teams in baseball, and they're laughing at us.
Yep. Yep.
Sick of it.
It's so annoying.
And the rest of the division isn't good.
As long as St. Louis doesn't make the playoffs, I can live at the end of the day. If they are to get that wild card, I'm gonna puke.
Blah, blah, blah. Where's Tom Ricketts live? Okay, got his address. Gets on the puking stilts. Blah, blah, blah.
Uh, so yeah, this team is just done. Stick a fork in them. They are who they are. Yeah, at this point, it's not April anymore. It's not May. You're not, oh, there's a long way to go. It's a long season. This season is, we've got a month left in this season. You're toast. Even if you go on a long winning streak, there's not enough runway for you to make this postseason, and you're not good enough to. You don't have good enough bats to consistently threaten even if you did somehow eke into the wild card, which you won't.
Sucks.
But we were wrong about the White Sox. They got that 30th win.
That they did. That they did.
By kicking the Yankees' ass, which was shocking.
Yeah, who'd have thought? I mean, the trolling of the Yankees that night was pretty hefty. It was pretty funny. And you know what? The Sox fans really just needed that. Just a feel good
Oh,
win.
oh yeah, absolutely. Against I think the best team in baseball. I think they overtook the Guardians.
I mean, they're one of the best record wise.
Um, let's see. Yes, the Yankees are currently the oh no, Phillies jump back. So but they're the best team in the
In
American
the
League.
American League, yeah.
Yeah. They're second best. They're behind the tied with the Dodgers behind the Phillies. Um but yeah, I mean it's an absolute juggernaut of a team and you kick their ass a little bit. It's a it's got to feel good. It's small victory,
Yeah, for sure.
and then you just go back and then stink against Houston.
Hey, they got the one win.
uh,
They opened the nice opening game. Luis Robert actually hit the ball and then plop.
do you know what the White Sox run differential is right now?
Ooh, what is it?
Minus 258.
Dear God. Hey, they were officially eliminated this weekend from the postseason.
Uh, well, I mean, they're only 39 and a half games out of the wild card.
Oh, that's all? No, really, that's all.
Well, that's behind Kansas City for the third wild card spot. 39 and a half games.
Yowza.
Oh, God. And what's wild is Oakland is only six. They're the second worst team in the AL, and they're only 16 games out of the wild card.
Jeez.
So the White Sox are more than double the next worst team from the wild card.
Yeah, that's insane. Didn't Chuck and Ozzy say a few weeks ago that at the time, if you would have taken away both losing streaks, the 14 game losing streak and the 2021 game losing streak, whatever it was, I believe they said even if you took those away, they'd still be the worst team in baseball.
Um, I don't. I mean, they still wouldn't. They still wouldn't be in the playoffs. Let's took those away. Just took them away and didn't add them as wins.
Correct. That's what they said. I didn't
Yeah,
do the math.
yeah, they would. I mean, they would be 30 and like 60. Yeah, they would still be the worst team in baseball.
Good grief.
Oh God. At least the misery is almost over.
Just another month and a half.
I mean, how many games do they have left? Yeah. White Sox, they're at 125 games. Um, Jeez, they got 37 games left. That's a lot of games. Oof,
Yeah.
oof. They're at 240. They're on pace for 123 losses still. What's the record?
I mean, they have a shot. They have a shot.
Let's see.
And I know they're playing a little bit better under Grady Sizemore. They look a little more inspired, but it's still hard to win when you just lack the talent, um, like the White Sox do. You know, you traded away some guys, you're bringing some of your young arms up, you're seeing what they can do. Though Crochet's on that innings limit, so he's not going deep into games. I believe in his last start he went 4 innings. He pitched well, but he didn't. He obviously didn't go very deep. So yeah, there's a chance.
I'm looking. All these really, really bad records on here, modern era. In the modern era, the record is 117 losses. Oh wait. 120 losses. Sorry, 120 losses, 62 Mets.
Yeah, it's still in play.
Yeah, I mean the Mets were a 250 winning percentage, and the White Sox are at 240. So they're on pace to beat that.
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing about that is, how does Jerry trying to spin that at the end?
You see, this wouldn't happen if we were able to get a new ballpark from the state. They would give me more money. But we're not going to be in the Juan Soto. I'll tell you that much.
We'll be in on Juan Soto as much as we were on Shohei Ohtani. Now,
I have,
we'll definitely be in on David Eckstein.
I love David Eckstein. The fact that he wasn't on this team is why we didn't win. But you know what? I'm gonna read Branch Ricky's book again, and we'll see how we fix this.
I'll loop back in with Tony, and we'll figure this out.
It was Branch Rickey. Who was the other guy that he referenced?
Oh, God, I don't even remember.
Because he referenced David Eckstein,
Branch
Rickey. I thought there was a third.
I have to go back and look at the.
Oh, Eddie Stanky. Wasn't it Eddie Stanky?
Maybe. God, just pull out these old ass references. I would just find it funny. I would love for them to rehire Ozzie Guillen as the manager. Can you imagine Ozzie Guillen and Tony La Russa just fighting it out about shit?
Oh, is that really a question? Huh? Unfortunately, though, you know who would have the backing by Jerry if it was Tony or Ozzy.
Yeah, but at least Ozzy wouldn't give a shit.
True. You are not wrong.
Like I'm not like a big Ozzie Guillen fan, but boy, he just doesn't give a shit. He's gonna say whatever he's gonna say. Like, I do not like AJ Przinsky, but that guy will say what's on his mind. No shit's given.
Oh, he won't hold back. Not a chance.
No, even when he's like on the payroll of the White Sox, like, whatever. He's like, Getz was a terrible hire. He's a friend of mine. He's bad. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh, God. Yeah, this dreadful season just can't end soon enough.
You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding.
At least we have the Bears to take our attention away from the last couple weeks of the season.
Until they piss us off.
You don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I know.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope. I think I've said my piece.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like number New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on the plains. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears. Oh, when the Bears go bearing down, I wanna